Welcome to my channel. My name is Darren and my ham radio call sign is N4VFR. I had several requests from hams asking me to please make this video on how to connect the Anan G2 to the RF2K-S amplifier. Let me give you an orientation of all the equipment. On top, this is the LP-100. Next is my MFJ-998. Here in the middle is the Anan G2 Ultra, and on the bottom is the RF2K-S amplifier. How I like to do it is I like to start on the RF. So on the Anan G2, you need to find your antenna 1. Okay, so that's antenna 1. That's going to be my transmitting antenna, and also receiving. So transmit and receive. So I have this connected. We'll just follow this along, and it's going into my amplifier. So on the RF2K-S, this is the TRX, and I have it labeled. It's always best to label your cables, your connections, so that's called amp TRX. Now, once the signal is amplified, you have antennas 1, antennas 2, antennas 3, and antenna 4. I'm going to be utilizing antenna 1, so that's going to go down to this directional coupler. Okay, that belongs to the LP-100A. Okay, here's a quick schematic of the LP-100A. So again, coming out of the transmitter, it goes to the amplifier. Out of the amplifier, then it goes to the coupler on the transmitter side. And then after that, on the load side, it goes to my antenna tuner. Alright, the directional coupler, the LPC1, that's part of the LP-100A. I'm going to be going, the output is the load, and that's labeled there, LPC1 load on my coax. You follow that coax, and it goes to the input of the MFJ-998 antenna tuner. So transmitter, exciter, that's considered your input. The output would be your antennas. I only have antenna 1 that's being utilized. Always have your equipment ground, so that's ground. I'm using braided stainless steel cable. I think that's 1 inch. So this is the output antenna, again labeled 998 antenna 1. Follow this, and this is my common mode choke. It's the 101 common mode choke. I made a video on this. On the upper right hand of this video, you can take a look at that link. And again, I have it labeled CMC in, and that would be the output. Finally, that's my 40-meter loop. That's my horizontal sky loop, and I have also a video on how I have that erected up on the 3rd floor. The video will be also on the top right of this video. Let's continue with the LP-100A, and let's finish all these connections. So they have a current and voltage. You notice that there's a red tape and there's a red dot on the unit itself. That's easy. You can match those, connect those together. That's your current, and then the voltage is the black. That's connected to the directional coupler. Again, there's a red dot with the red tape, and that connects to the red. That's your current, and the voltage is black. Here's the power. It runs on 12 volts. Actually, you can read it there, 11 through 16. I got that hooked up to here. It's hooked up to this power supply right here. This power supply is a server power supply. I have it tweaked out, and I got it going at the 14.1 volts DC. You can adjust that power output. There's some pods down in here somewhere. You can't quite see it because I put a power pole extensions right here. So it's being fed. See, I have two outputs. I have two power poles. This is going to be the input, and I can put 1, 2, 3, 4 accessories onto this 14.1 volts DC power supply. So I'm running power from that, and that's providing power to my LP-100. We also have a PTT relay, and also the how I look at it, this is going to be the input, and then the red is going to be your output, and I have it labeled PTT relay. That's going to be that one, and then this one is the PTT relay that goes on top. So yeah, they're labeled the same, so you just gotta have to follow the flow. Okay, I said flow. What do you mean by flow? All right, let's go back to, now we're talking about PTT. Now this is the Anan push to talk. It's PTT in / out. So when I key up, it's gonna send a signal from this, and check it out. I have a Y adapter. All right, let's go break it out. So I got a Y adapter. One of the signal, I'm just following this line. It branches off Y. I'm just going to pull this. Okay, it's going into the PTT relay. So it's going to go to the top one. Okay, let me show you here. Here's the instructions again. We're looking at the PTT, all right? It's coming out of your transmitter. Follow that little green line, and it's going to the top. This one right there, the top one. That's why I consider that the input. Now the bottom one, I consider that the output. That's the relay, and that's going to be going into your amplifier. Input, output. Let's follow this one. Remember that going to the amplifier, but I'm not going to the amplifier. I'm going to my antenna tuner. This is the 998 amp enabled in. That's considered my input for the PTT, and then you got an output, and this one should go to your amp. All right, again labeled amp out. Okay, so it's going into the PTT of the amplifier. It's that yellow RCA cable. Okay, when you key up, the PTT sends a signal and it keys up the amplifier. Now that Y adapter I was talking to you about, okay, there's a lot of cables here. That Y coming out of the PTT out, this is a Y adapter, a splitter. Let's call it a splitter slant adapter. Okay, so it splits off. I make the connection here, and it's going to this here. So from here it goes to here. This is a 1/4 inch female, okay, and I'm connecting it to another adapter here, 1/4 inch to a 2 1/4 inch females. Why am I doing this? Simple. As the signal comes out here, branches off into a Y, I can key up using a foot pedal, or I can use my homemade push to talk right here. And if you want to make one of these, take a look at the link above. I'll leave that. I'll show you how to make that. And that's why I have a Y adapter. I can use two methods. A push to talk on the hand or a push to talk on the feet. How's it going? Are you with me so far? Alright, so basically everything that's connected on the LP-100A is completed. Looking through the 998 with the ground connected. Everything there is completed. Now let's take a look on the Anan G2. Okay, you have a Wi-Fi antenna, although I'm currently not using it. It's disabled in my software. My ground, I have my power input labeled. That's your PTT. If you have a 10 megahertz input like a Leo Bardnar GPS DO discipline oscillator, you can use this SMA. That's the input for the 10 megahertz. Here, let's get a closer look. All right, that's a 10 megahertz input. All right, moving along. I have that's a USB dongle for my mouse, so I can operate the mouse cursor when I'm running HP SDR. It's the built-in software-defined radio program built into this Anan G2 Ultra. My Ultra is the 8-inch display. And we have this here. It's called the receive bypass. That's connected. If you follow this beige connection, it goes into the RF2K-S minus 55 dB port. That's for sampling, RF sampling for pure signal. So you connect it there. Receive bypass to the minus 55 dBm of the Anan G2. If you wanted to use another receive antenna, you can use this RX2. RX2, that's connected to, let's follow the cable, it's connected to this. This is my RX2 for the W6 LVP magnetic loop antenna, okay? That's the mag loop. That's on the roof also. That's only for receive. So that's my receive only. And I believe you can use that for diversity reception. Cool. Where do we go from here? All right, well, let's take a look at the amplifier. We already talked about this. That's the input to the amplifier. That's the output to the amplifier. We have the ground connected. Right there's the ground. We have the 220, 240 volts input. We talked about the yellow cable right there, the RCA cable. That's the PTT, push to talk. We already talked about that SMA connection there. That's a minus 55 dB. That's for pure signal. That's RF sampling. And there's a USB. That's for cat control. You see it there? It says meow. Cat, not dog. And down there, so you got the Ethernet port. I'm just using a El Cheapo cable right now. I'm going to upgrade that to in the future, but it works. So that's it. That's the connection on how I have this set up. Okay, as I was putting back the shack back together and making all the connections, I forgot I disconnected the Ethernet cable for the Anan G2. So an addendum is to, if you want to have connectivity via Ethernet cable, you need to have one of the Ethernet connected to your network or directly to your PC. Here's what we got. The LP-100A. That's my digital vector RF watt meter. Also the MFJ-998 antenna tuner. This is the Apache Labs Anan G2 Ultra. And then my amplifier, the RF2K-S, which also has a built-in antenna tuner. It is done. Put back together. Bam, right there. Hey guys, if you're new to my channel, please consider to subscribe, leave me a like, a comment. It motivates me to make more videos for you guys. My name is Captain Darren, and my ham radio call sign is N4VFR. I'll say 73s, and have a great day.